And a very good evening. We begin at 5 inside a Portland courtroom where in just the last few hours, the man suspected of setting fire to a Portland mosque and vandalizing 2 synagogues. He went before a judge for the very first time. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Laurel Porter. Michael Bivens pleaded not guilty to several charges, including arson. Mike Benner was in the courtroom. And Mike, this was a somewhat unusual hearing.
Yeah, Laurel, these initial court appearances typically last 2 to 3 minutes. This one, though, lasted 20 minutes, and that was due in large part to Michael Bivens attempting to represent himself, something the judge suggested he consider down the road and not today. And ultimately, Bivens agreed to that and entered his plea. In court for the first time since his Saturday arrest, a smiley Michael Bivens pleaded not guilty to vandalizing several places of worship in Portland over a 5-day stretch.
Having this person behind bars is the benefit to all of our community.
Michael Z. Kahana is the senior rabbi at Congregation Beth Israel, one of the places the 34-year-old Bivens is accused of targeting. Investigators say Bivens spray painted an anti-Semitic phrase on the side of the Northwest Portland synagogue and threw a large rock through a window. Bivens is also suspected of breaking a window at Congregation Shir Tikva's property on Northeast Sandy. Authorities say Bivens even tried burning down the Muslim Community Center of Portland on North Vancouver.
I would hope that he could understand the great harm that's caused by these kinds of incidents. There are people who should feel comfortable in their synagogues, in their mosques.
Rabbi Kahana says his congregation's sense of security was shattered by the suspect Bivens, who may be familiar to some of you. Bivens has worked as a freelance journalist in the Portland area. He's covered many of the protests across the city, and perhaps that explains how comfortable he seemed in front of the cameras. At times during Monday afternoon's hearing, Bivens smirked for photographers. He even flexed. It's behavior his victims surely would not find amusing. Instead, they focus on what they call the diligent work of law enforcement.
I'm really pleased that law enforcement, many different bureaus of law enforcement, took these incidents so seriously.
In court this afternoon, the judge set bail at $45,000 despite the state requesting that Bivens stay behind bars. So we'll see if he eventually bails out. What we do know is that he is due back in court May 17th. Back to you.
Thank you, Mike. We have new information today about a deadly shooting at a Tigard hotel. Police say the 2 men killed are brothers from Portland. They're 38 and 37-year-old Gerald and Andrew Randall. No word yet on what led up to the shooting. It's also still unclear if the brothers were staying at the hotel. The shooting was early Friday morning at the Embassy Suites on the north side of Washington Square Mall. On Friday, police said they were working to identify a suspect who they believe had left the hotel.
And today, police also identified the suspect accused of shooting and killing a woman late last night in Southeast Portland. 25-year-old Wyatt Belcher faces charges of murder and unlawful use of a weapon. The woman was found dead on the East Bank Esplanade near Salmon Street. That was just before midnight. No word on a possible motive here. There have been at least 35 homicides this year in the city of Portland alone.
Police say someone has attacked the Oregon Right to Life office in Kaiser. Late last night, the suspect tried to break a window and threw a Molotov cocktail toward the building. That caused a small fire and a little bit of damage. Nobody was at the building at the time. Right to Life is an organization working to restrict abortion. The abortion debate has been in the spotlight since last week when a U.S. Supreme Court draft opinion was leaked, indicating the court may be ready to overturn Roe v. Wade.
Family members took the stand today to defend Nancy Crampton Brophy. She is the romance novelist accused of killing her husband, Daniel Brophy, a chef and instructor at the Oregon Culinary Institute. Brian Clerkley has been following every twist and turn here closely. Brian, good to see you. Defense's main strategy with the jury, at least so far, seems to be painting this picture that is really all about love.
Yes, David, we heard from a niece, Crampton Brophy's niece, and she spoke about the couple's relationship, and she testified that the couple seemed to have a good marriage and they really enjoyed each other. Sarah Gitchell, Crampton Brophy's niece, told jurors she spent a lot of time with her the summer after Dan's death. Gitchell went on to say Nancy never spoke about many concerns in her marriage. She told jurors Crampton Brophy overlooked issues in her marriage, like cleanliness, just so she could keep the peace within her relationship. At the time of Daniel's murder, her niece says Nancy was not concerned about her own safety.
Pretty much universally, we all just figured it had to be some like random, some random person off the street. Maybe some, meth was, had already become a problem in the area, and people often behave erratically and violently.
The defense claims the Brophies were so in love that Nancy would never murder her husband. The state maintains Nancy would stand to gain a large amount of money from her husband's death and that she lied to police about her whereabouts the morning of the murder. And we also heard from an employee at the Oregon Culinary Institute, and he testified the Brophies did have a good relationship. And this afternoon we also heard from cousin Vicky Schmall of Texas, and she focused mainly on the relationship she had with Nancy Crampton Brophy, and the judge expects this trial to end May 20th.
Thank you, Bryant. According to the CDC, more than 35% of high school students say they struggled with mental health because of the pandemic. Tonight, Christine Pitawanich is looking into a new partnership in Beaverton to help students and families.
The National Alliance on Mental Illness in Washington County has teamed up with the Beaverton School District to make sure families know they're not alone when it comes to mental health issues, and to give those families tools to help students who are going through a tough time. The Beaverton School District, like so many others, has students, families, and staff that are struggling to either cope with or address mental health issues. Data from the district shows as of mid-March, staff have completed 646 suicide screenings as compared to 403 at the same time in 2020. The increased need in schools is reflected at the community level, too.
The demand has grown.
That's Dave Mowry, the executive director of the National Alliance on Mental Illness in Washington County, also known as NAMI. He says NAMI and the district began working together right before the pandemic and now have picked up where they left off. After seeing the increased need, they've come together to offer a free 6-session education program for Beaverton School District parents, caregivers, and family members who care for children and teens dealing with mental health issues.
It's the first time we are doing it for parents of school-age youth specifically. By reaching out to the families and reaching youth with mental health challenges.
The idea? To make sure families are equipped with an understanding of the biology of mental health challenges and that they have information on how to prepare for crises, as well as available treatment options. Mowry says families also need to know they're not alone.
The most important piece of that is we're telling stories. Parents tell their stories, kids tell their stories. And so, the stories are powerful.
The 6-session education program starts May 16th and will be conducted over Zoom. The Beaverton School District Facebook page has more information on how to register, but if there isn't space, NAMI of Washington County is planning to hold more educational programs for families in the district. And they're currently in talks to continue their partnership with the district next year. Christine Pitawanich, KGW News.